My name is Maya Torres, and I spent 3 years being absolutely tormented by the most infuriating woman I had ever met. Victoria Laurent. Even saying her name now, 5 years later, makes my heart race. Let me take you back to when I was 26 years old, fresh out of graduate school with a degree in marketing and more student debt than I cared to think about. I had landed a job at Laurent and Associates, a boutique marketing firm in San Francisco that specialized in luxury brands. The pay was good, the office was beautiful, and the CEO was a legend in the industry. Victoria Laurent had built her company from nothing. At 41, she was considered one of the most brilliant marketing minds in the country. She had worked with every major luxury brand you could name. She was also devastatingly beautiful, wickedly intelligent, and completely, utterly, maddeningly flirtatious. With me. Only with me. I showed up for my first day in September wearing my best professional outfit, a black pencil skirt, white blouse, and sensible heels. I was nervous but excited. This was my dream job. The office was stunning. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the bay, modern minimalist design, everything in shades of white and gray with pops of color from abstract art on the walls. I was led to a conference room where the entire team was gathered for a meeting. And that's when I saw her. Victoria Laurent stood at the head of the table, and I swear the air left my lungs. She was wearing a perfectly tailored burgundy suit, her dark hair falling in loose waves past her shoulders. She had striking green eyes, high cheekbones, and full lips painted a deep red. She was speaking passionately about a campaign strategy, her hands moving expressively, her French accent adding a musical quality to her words. I had known I was gay since I was 19. I had dated women in college and graduate school. But I had never, ever felt this immediate, overwhelming attraction to someone. She glanced over mid-sentence and her eyes landed on me. She paused, just for a fraction of a second, her gaze traveling from my face down to my shoes and back up again. Then she smiled. A slow, knowing smile that made my cheeks burn. "Ah, you must be Maya," she said, her accent wrapping around my name like silk. "Our new marketing associate. Please, sit." We were just discussing the Fontaine campaign. I sat, trying to ignore the way my hands were shaking. The meeting continued, but I kept catching her looking at me. Not quick glances, long, deliberate looks that lasted just a beat too long. After the meeting, she approached me. Up close, she was even more striking. She smelled like expensive perfume, something floral and sophisticated. "Welcome to Laurent and Associates, Maya," she said, extending her hand. "I have heard excellent things about you." I shook her hand. Her grip was firm, her skin soft. "Thank you, Ms. Laurent. I'm excited to be here. Please, call me Victoria." She held my hand just a moment longer than necessary. "Tell me, Maya, do you have a boyfriend waiting at home, wondering why you are starting this job that will consume all your time?" I blinked, caught off guard. No. No boyfriend." "Girlfriend?" she asked, her eyes glinting with something I couldn't quite read. "No," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "No girlfriend either." She said, finally releasing my hand. "A beautiful woman like you, all alone. That is a crime." She smiled again, that devastating smile. "Well, I am sure that will not last long. Welcome to the team, Sherry." She walked away, leaving me standing there, heart pounding, completely flustered. That was the beginning. Over the next 3 years, Victoria Laurent flirted with me constantly. Not in an HR violation, lawsuit-worthy way. It was subtle enough that no one else really noticed, but obvious enough that I noticed every single time. She would compliment me constantly. "Maya, that dress is stunning on you. Your presentation was brilliant, as always. Did you do something different with your hair? It looks beautiful." She would find excuses to touch me. A hand on my shoulder when she leaned over to look at my computer screen. her fingers brushing mine when she handed me documents. Standing just a little too close in the elevator. She would seek me out specifically for projects, even when other team members were more senior. I want Maya on this campaign. She understands the vision. And she would say things that could be interpreted as innocent professional encouragement, but that always felt loaded with meaning. You have such natural talent, Maya. You were made for this work. I love watching you present. You command a room. You and I, we think alike. It's rare to find someone who operates on your wavelength. I tried to maintain professional boundaries. I really did. But it was impossible not to be affected by her. Victoria was magnetic. She was brilliant and creative and passionate about her work. She was demanding but fair, pushing everyone to be their best. She had a wicked sense of humor that would come out in private moments. She was generous with her time and knowledge, always willing to mentor and teach. And she was so beautiful. I developed a massive crush on her. The kind of crush that made me nervous and excited every time I saw her. The kind that made me spend way too long choosing my outfits every morning. The kind that made my heart race when her name appeared in my inbox. But I kept it professional. She was my boss. She was 15 years older than me. And despite all the flirting, she never actually crossed any lines. She never asked me out. Never made an explicit move. It was all just flirtation. Endless, torturous flirtation. I convinced myself it didn't mean anything. Maybe this was just how she was. Maybe I was reading too much into it. Maybe she flirted with everyone and I just noticed it more because I was attracted to her. But deep down, I knew better. The way she looked at me, there was heat there. Real heat. I just didn't know what to do about it. In my second year at the company, I tried dating other people. I went out with a woman I met at a coffee shop. She was nice, pretty, normal. But every date, I found myself thinking about Victoria. Comparing everyone to her. No one measured up. I went out with another woman I met through friends. Same thing. She was perfectly lovely, but she wasn't Victoria. I started to realize I had a serious problem. Meanwhile, Victoria's flirting continued. If anything, it intensified. Maya, you look absolutely radiant today. Are you seeing someone? You have that glow. I wish I could steal you away from the team for the weekend. We could work on the new campaign in Napa. Just the two of us, good wine, beautiful scenery. You know, Sherry, you and I make quite the pair. Everyone says so. It was driving me insane. The thing that made it worse was that I genuinely liked her as a person, not just as an attractive boss I had a crush on. Over the years, I had seen different sides of her. I had seen her vulnerability when a major client decided to go with a competitor and she cried in her office, thinking no one could hear. I had seen her generosity when she anonymously paid for a junior employee's mother's cancer treatment. I had seen her passion when she stayed up all night to perfect a campaign because she believed in the product and wanted to do it justice. I had seen her loneliness. Victoria never talked about her personal life. She came to work, she attended industry events, she traveled for business. But I never heard her mention friends, family, or dates. She seemed to exist entirely for her work. One night, about 2.5 years into my tenure, I was working late finishing a presentation. Everyone else had gone home. I thought I was alone until I heard music coming from Victoria's office. I walked over and found her door slightly open. She was sitting at her desk, a glass of wine in front of her, staring out the window at the city lights. She looked sad. I knocked softly. Victoria? She turned, and for a moment, I saw raw emotion on her face before she quickly composed herself. Maya. I thought everyone had left. Just finishing up the Morrison presentation, I said. Are you okay? She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Of course. Just a long day. Would you like some wine? I have an excellent Bordeaux. I should have said no. I should have said good night and gone home. Instead, I walked into her office. She poured me a glass and we sat on the small sofa she had by the window. We talked about work at first, then about other things. Books, movies, travel. She told me about growing up in Lyon, France, about moving to the US when she was 25 with nothing but ambition and a dream. I sacrificed everything for this company, she said quietly, staring into her wineglass. My 20s, my 30s. Relationships. The possibility of a family. I tell myself it was worth it, that I built something meaningful. But sometimes. She trailed off. Sometimes you wonder what else you might have had, I finished softly. Yes. She looked at me, and there was something in her eyes that made my breath catch. Do you ever feel that way, Maya? Like you are so focused on building your career that you are missing out on living? Sometimes, I admitted. But I'm only 28. I feel like I still have time. You do, she said. Don't make my mistakes. Don't wake up one day and realize you are 41 and alone. You're not alone, I said. You have the team. The company. She laughed, but it was bitter. Yes. I have employees who work for me and go home to their own lives. That is not the same as having someone to share your life with. We sat in silence for a moment. I wanted to reach out and touch her hand, to comfort her, but I didn't know if I should. Can I ask you something personal? She said suddenly. Of course. Why are you still single? You are beautiful, intelligent, talented. You could have anyone you wanted. My heart was pounding. I guess I just haven't found the right person. Or maybe, she said softly, you are interested in someone who is unavailable. I looked at her, and the air between us felt electric. Maybe, I whispered. She held my gaze for a long moment. Then she set down her wineglass and stood up abruptly. It is late. You should go home, Maya. Get some rest. I stood too, confused and disappointed. Victoria. Good night, she said firmly, her professional mask back in place. I left, my mind spinning. After that night, Victoria pulled back. The flirting didn't stop entirely, but it became less frequent, more careful. We were never alone together like that again. I told myself it was for the best. This was my job. My career. I couldn't jeopardize everything for a crush, no matter how intense. But it hurt. It hurt to feel like there was something real between us that we couldn't acknowledge or explore. And then, 6 months ago, everything changed. I was promoted to senior marketing manager. It was a huge step up in responsibility and pay. I was thrilled. To celebrate, Victoria took the whole team out to an expensive restaurant. We had a private room, incredible food, too much wine. Everyone was in high spirits. At the end of the night, as people were starting to call Ubers and head home, Victoria pulled me aside. Maya, stay for one more drink with me. I want to toast your promotion properly. Most of the team had already left. A few stragglers were still gathering their things. Victoria led me to a quieter corner of the restaurant where we could talk more privately. She ordered us each a glass of expensive champagne. When it arrived, she raised her glass. To Maya, she said. The most talented marketing professional I have had the privilege of working with. This promotion is long overdue, and I cannot wait to see what you do next. We clinked glasses and drank. The champagne was perfect, crisp and light. Thank you, I said. For everything. For taking a chance on me 3 years ago. For teaching me so much. For pushing me to be better. It has been my pleasure, she said, and there was that look again. That heat. She moved a little closer. We were sitting in a booth, and she shifted so that her leg was pressed against mine. Maya, she said softly. Can I tell you something? Of course. She took a breath. These 3 years working with you have been complicated for me. My heart started racing. Complicated how? You must know, she said, her voice low. You must have noticed the way I treat you differently than the others. I've noticed, I whispered. I have tried so hard to maintain professional boundaries, she continued. You are my employee. It would be inappropriate to act on. She trailed off, then looked directly into my eyes. But Maya, you drive me absolutely crazy. I couldn't breathe. Victoria. She reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind my ear, her fingers lingering against my cheek. I think about you constantly. I dream about you. I create excuses to be near you. I have never felt this way about anyone, certainly not someone who works for me. I feel the same way, I said, my voice shaking. I've been attracted to you since the day we met. I thought I was imagining the connection between us. You were not imagining it, she said. Her hand moved from my cheek to my jaw, tilting my face up toward hers. It has been very, very real. She was so close now. I could smell her perfume, feel her breath on my face. This is a terrible idea, I whispered. The worst, she agreed. You're my boss. I know. It could complicate everything. It will complicate everything. We shouldn't. She kissed me. Her lips were soft and tasted like champagne. The kiss was gentle at first, tentative, like she was giving me a chance to pull away. I didn't pull away. Instead, I kissed her back, my hand coming up to tangle in her hair. The kiss deepened. Her tongue traced my bottom lip and I opened for her with a soft moan. Her hand moved to my waist, pulling me closer. We kissed like that for what felt like hours but was probably only a minute or two. When we finally broke apart, we were both breathing hard. Wow, I said. Wow indeed, she agreed, her eyes dark with desire. Come home with me. Victoria, we should probably talk about this first. We will talk. I promise. But right now, I need you. I have waited 3 years for this. Please, Sherry. Come home with me. I should have said no. I should have insisted we have a serious conversation about professional boundaries and what this meant for our working relationship. Instead, I said, yes. We took a car to her apartment in Pacific Heights. The entire ride, her hand was on my thigh, her thumb tracing small circles that were driving me insane. Her apartment was stunning. Huge windows overlooking the bay, modern furniture, art on the walls. But I barely took it in because as soon as the door closed behind us, she was kissing me again. This kiss was different. Urgent, hungry. Her hands were in my hair, on my waist, sliding under my blouse. I pressed her against the wall, my body flush against hers. Bedroom, she gasped between kisses. We stumbled down the hall, shedding clothes as we went. My blazer. Her suit jacket. My blouse. Her heels. Her bedroom was dominated by a massive bed with white silk sheets. We fell onto it together, a tangle of limbs and kisses and wandering hands. I had fantasized about this moment 1,000 times, but the reality was so much better than any fantasy. Victoria was confident and skilled, taking control in a way that made my head spin. She kissed her way down my body, learning what made me gasp, what made me moan. When she finally touched me where I needed her most, I nearly came apart immediately. Not yet, she whispered against my ear. I want to take my time with you. And she did. She worshipped my body with her mouth and hands, bringing me to the edge over and over before finally letting me fall. When I came, I cried out her name, my hands fisting in the silk sheets, my entire body trembling. "Beautiful," she murmured, kissing her way back up my body. "You are absolutely beautiful." When I caught my breath, I rolled her over, determined to return the favor. I explored her body slowly, finding all the places that made her breath hitch. Her neck. Her breasts. The curve of her hip. She was stunning. All smooth skin and elegant curves and soft sighs. When I finally settled between her thighs, she tangled her hands in my hair, guiding me exactly where she wanted me. I loved the way she tasted, the way she responded to my touch, the way she said my name when I did something she particularly enjoyed. When she came, she arched off the bed, her thighs trembling around my head. I held her through it, kissing her softly until she relaxed. We made love twice more that night, unable to get enough of each other. Finally, exhausted and satisfied, we fell asleep tangled together. I woke up the next morning to sunlight streaming through the windows and Victoria's arm draped across my waist. For a moment, I just lay there, enjoying the warmth of her body against mine, the peaceful expression on her face. Then reality hit me. I had slept with my boss. My boss who I had to face at work on Monday. My boss who probably regretted this entire thing. I carefully extracted myself from her embrace and started looking for my clothes. Running away? Victoria's voice was sleepy but amused. I turned to find her watching me, propped up on one elbow, the sheet pooling around her waist. I thought you might want some space to process everything, I said awkwardly. What I want, she said, is for you to come back to bed. Victoria, we should talk about. We will talk. But first, come here. I climbed back into bed, and she immediately pulled me into her arms. Last night was not a mistake, she said firmly. I do not regret it. Do you? No, I admitted. But it does complicate things. It does, she agreed. We will need to be careful at work. We will need to establish boundaries. But Maya. She cupped my face in her hands. I do not want last night to be a one-time thing. I want more. I want you. If you want me too. I do, I said. I really, really do. She kissed me softly. Good. Then we will figure it out together. And we did. Sort of. For the next 6 months, Victoria and I had a secret relationship. At work, we were completely professional. She was the boss, I was the senior manager. We were careful never to show favoritism, never to be inappropriate in front of others. But outside of work, we were together constantly. She would text me to come over after work. We would have dinner together, talk about our days, make love for hours. On weekends, we would drive up to wine country or along the coast, stealing time together away from the city. It was intense and passionate and exciting. I was falling completely in love with her. But it was also exhausting, keeping this huge secret. We couldn't go on proper dates in the city. We couldn't tell anyone. I couldn't even tell my friends why I was suddenly so happy all the time. And Victoria was clearly struggling too. I could see the stress in her eyes, the way she worried about potential conflicts of interest, about what people would think, about whether this was fair to me or the rest of the team. 3 weeks ago, everything came to a head. We were working late together, finalizing a major campaign pitch. Everyone else had gone home. Victoria and I were in the conference room, presentations spread across the table. This is good, she said, reviewing my work. But I think we should adjust the messaging here. She leaned over to point at something on my laptop, and as she did, her hand brushed against mine. It was such a small touch. Nothing that anyone would even notice. But in that moment, I felt the weight of everything we were hiding. I pulled my hand away. She looked at me, concerned. Maya? What's wrong? Nothing, I stood up and walked to the window, suddenly needing space. Victoria, I can't do this anymore. Do what? Her voice was carefully neutral. This. Us. Sneaking around. Hiding. Pretending at work that you don't mean anything to me. Going home separately and then meeting up in secret like we're doing something wrong. We are not doing anything wrong, she said. Then why does it feel like it? I turned to face her. Why can't we just be together like normal people? Go on dates, hold hands in public, tell people we care about that we're seeing each other? She looked pained. You know why? I am your boss. If people knew, they would assume I am giving you preferential treatment. They would question every promotion, every assignment I give you. It would undermine your credibility and mine. Then maybe I should quit, I said. Her face went pale. What? Maybe I should leave the company. Find a job somewhere else. Then we could be together without all this complication. Maya, no. She walked over to me. I do not want you to give up your career for me. You have worked so hard. You are brilliant at what you do. And what about what I want? I said, my voice breaking. I don't just want to be your secret, Victoria. I want to be your partner. I want people to know that I love you. Her breath caught. You love me? Damn it. I hadn't meant to say it like that. But it was out there now. Yes, I said quietly. I love you. I'm in love with you. I have been for a long time. She closed her eyes, and when she opened them, they were filled with tears. I love you too. So much. But Maya, I do not know what to do. I do not want to lose you, but I also do not want you to sacrifice your career. Then help me figure out a solution, I said. Because I can't keep doing this. It's tearing me apart. We stood there for a long moment, the silence heavy between us. Finally, Victoria spoke. Let me think about it. Give me some time to figure out what the right path forward is. Can you do that? I nodded, even though my heart was breaking. We finished the presentation in tense silence and went home separately. The next few weeks were torture. Victoria was distant at work, professional to the point of coldness. We barely saw each other outside of meetings. She stopped texting me. She stopped inviting me over. I was miserable. I had pushed for something more, and now I had lost even what we had before. I started updating my resume, looking at job openings at other companies. If she wasn't willing to fight for us, then maybe it was time for me to move on. Then, 3 days ago, Victoria called an all-staff meeting. We gathered in the main conference room, everyone confused about why we had been summoned on short notice. Victoria stood at the front of the room, looking more nervous than I had ever seen her. Thank you all for coming, she said. I have some announcements to make that will affect the structure of the company going forward. She took a deep breath. Effective immediately, I am stepping down as CEO of Laurent and Associates. There were gasps around the room. My heart stopped. I will be transitioning to a new role as creative director, focusing exclusively on campaign strategy and client relations. This is a decision I have been considering for some time. I built this company, but I think it is time for fresh leadership to take it into the future. She looked around the room. The board and I have selected someone to take over as CEO. Someone who has been with us for 3 years, who understands our vision, who has proven herself time and again as a brilliant strategist and leader. My brain was racing, trying to figure out where this was going. Maya Torres, Victoria said, looking directly at me. I would like to offer you the position of CEO of Laurent and Associates. The room erupted. People were clapping, congratulating me. I sat there in shock, unable to process what had just happened. After the meeting dissolved, Victoria asked me to stay. When everyone else had left, she closed the conference room door and turned to face me. "Before you give me your answer about the CEO position," she said, "I need to tell you something." I couldn't speak. I just nodded. "I have spent the past 3 weeks trying to figure out how to be with you without compromising either of our careers," she said. "I looked into transferring you to a different department where I wouldn't be your direct supervisor, but that felt like a demotion when you deserve so much more. I considered hiring an outside CEO so I could step back, but I did not want to hand my company to a stranger." She walked toward me slowly. Then I realized the solution was obvious. "You should be running this company, Maya. You have the vision, the talent, the drive. You are ready for this, and everyone on the team respects you. With me as creative director and you as CEO, we would be equals. Partners in business and..." She paused. "If you want, partners in life." "Victoria," I whispered. "I am not asking you to sacrifice anything," she continued. "I am offering you everything. The career you deserve and the relationship I hope you still want. So, what do you say, Sherry? Will you be my CEO? Will you be mine?" I closed the distance between us and kissed her. Right there in the conference room with the windows overlooking the city. A real kiss, not hidden or secret. When we broke apart, I was crying. "Yes," I said. "Yes to all of it." She wiped away my tears. "I love you, Maya. I am sorry it took me so long to figure this out." "I love you too," I said. And for the record, that was the most dramatic, over-the-top romantic gesture I have ever seen. She laughed. "I am French. We do not know how to do things any other way." That was 3 days ago. Since then, everything has changed. We held a press conference announcing the leadership transition. We made our relationship public. The response has been overwhelmingly positive, our team is excited, clients are supportive, and the industry has been celebrating the news. I officially start as CEO next month. Victoria and I are already working as a partnership, and it feels natural, like this is how it was always meant to be. Last night, we had dinner at a restaurant in the city. A public dinner, sitting across from each other at a candlelit table, holding hands where everyone could see. "I cannot believe this is real," I said, looking at our intertwined fingers. "That we can just be together now, no hiding." "It is very real," Victoria said, bringing my hand to her lips and kissing it. "And I plan to make up for all the time we wasted hiding." "What does that mean?" I asked. She smiled mischievously. "It means I am going to date you properly. Take you to the best restaurants, the theater, weekend trips to Paris. I am going to spoil you and show you off and make sure everyone knows you are mine." "And you're mine," I said. "Always," she agreed. This morning, I woke up in Victoria's bed, our bed now, since I officially moved in last week. She was already awake, watching me with a soft expression. "Good morning, CEO," she said. I groaned. "Don't start. I'm already nervous enough." "You are going to be incredible," she said, kissing my forehead. "The best decision I ever made was hiring you 3 years ago. Well, second best. What was the first?" "Finally getting the courage to tell you how I felt," she said. "Even if it did take me 3 years and you threatening to quit." I laughed. "You know, for a brilliant marketing mind, you are terrible at reading signals. I was flirting back with you the entire time." "I know," she said. "But I was your boss. I could not risk making you uncomfortable. So instead you just tortured us both with endless tension?" "It appears so," she said with a grin. "But we made up for it eventually." "We certainly did," I agreed, pulling her down for a kiss. Now, as I get ready for my first full week as CEO, Victoria is making us breakfast. I watch her from the doorway, this beautiful, brilliant woman who changed my life. "What?" she says, noticing me watching. "Nothing," I say. "I'm just happy." "Me too, Sherry," she says. "Me too." Our story isn't traditional. We spent 3 years dancing around our feelings, hiding our relationship, trying to figure out how to make it work. But we got here eventually. Together, as partners in every sense of the word. Sometimes the best things in life are worth waiting for. Worth fighting for. Worth taking risks for. I spent 3 years being tormented by Victoria Laurent's flirting. Now I get to spend the rest of my life being loved by her. And I wouldn't change a thing. If there's one lesson I've learned from all of this, it's this: don't let fear keep you from going after what you want. Don't let professional boundaries or age differences or complicated situations stop you from taking a chance on love. Victoria could have kept hiding behind professional ethics. I could have quit and walked away. Instead, we found a third option. We got creative. We found a solution that worked for both of us. Life is too short to spend it wondering what if. Take the leap. Tell the person you love how you feel. Fight for what matters. Because on the other side of that fear, there might be something beautiful waiting for you. Just like there was for us. Thank you for watching Sapphic Whispers. Please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Until next time, bye-bye.